Good evening, and thank you all for joining us today. And we are back with another superb show, which is MSFT Student Dev Day. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor, Bengaluru, India. But before we start today's session, I would request you all to read the code of conduct. So we are all here together to learn and grow our knowledge. So please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat is open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. With this, I would now like to hand over the floor to Vivek, and he will introduce our speaker, and we will start the show. Over to you, Vivek.
Hi all, welcome to Microsoft Reactor. For people who have joined us in person, people who are watching us online, welcome to the Microsoft Student Developer Day. This is something we've been doing from last. This is our third or fourth Microsoft Student Developer Day, and it's a platform which we created for students and by students. So that is the main motto. So students who are learning different technologies come here and share their what they have learned, and as part of a learning process, students also get to learn from the students itself. So yeah, we are late. I'm sorry for the glitch. We were facing some issues with setting up things for hybrid. So sorry for that. Sorry for inconvenience. And people who are sitting here, I know they are seeing all these things happening. We are moving around and trying to set this up. And they are, I thank them for their patience. So that's the thing. And I don't want to delay this. I'll invite Aadyaa to come in. And Aadyaa, you want me to share your PPT first or your screen first?
PPT, what?
PPT, okay. Aadyaa is Microsoft Student Ambassador, Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and she is Gold Student Ambassador, by the way. And I'm super excited for her to be here. She's going to talk about a bunch of things. We're going to have, the way we have structured these talks is basically there is basics, and there is a little bit of advanced, and there is advanced levels at the end as well. So there is all kinds of talks, so you can pick and choose however you want to, and then get to learning process. So I'm going to share the link as well, how you can learn and how you can go back and learn whatever they are teaching today, how you can go back and learn by yourself as well. Okay, I'm going to share that as well. So Aadyaa, it's all yours, so go ahead.
Okay. Hello everyone. Hey folks. Good evening. Myself Aadyaa, and I'm super excited with you all to connect with you all virtually. Special thanks to Vivek, Rashmit, and entire backend team for providing me a floor to share my learnings with you all. So here is the agenda of the topics that I'm gonna talk with you all, like cloud computing, why do we need it, the Azure portal, the Azure virtual machines, and something new, which is Azure Bastion services. So before just jumping into the technical terms, I would request you all to like imagine a scenario where like post this event, if we take clicking up the picture, sharing data, and suppose that we are not having any like modern technology, all we can do to share is like peer to peer, or like just one source, multiple fetchers, and multiple fetchers, one source. If that goes this way by one to one sharing, it seems like such an inefficient approach. So here is where cloud computing comes into the picture and helps and rescue us. So cloud computing is nothing but it is basically an on-demand services which is hosted remotely on the internet and is based on pay as you go mode. So whatever you are using, how much you are using, you pay accordingly. The cloud computing resources we have available are like applications. We have servers of physical or virtual type. We have data storage, development tools, networking capabilities, and the list goes on. So this learning about the cloud, let us see like why do we need the concept? As discussed earlier, it is quite cost efficient. The performance of the cloud is really fast because everything is hosted over internet, and the companies who are providing these services are taking care of bandwidth which allows multiple users to access the resource they are looking for. So yes, the performance is increased rapidly. And next comes the data security. As you all know that with the increase of internet, the cyber threats have also increased. So companies are increasing their investment day by day to enhance the security models, the way the inventions, like how we can be more secure in the online world. So when you are taking services from the cloud, the company ensures like yes, your data should be protected and you should feel secure while taking up the services. Now, moving towards the next, the faster deployment and the market release. As I discussed earlier, since everything is hosted over the internet, like where we can test up the test cases and suppose at one try, everything is fast. So with the end-to-end automation of the services, we can easily deploy it, and yes, our user can use that facility with the ease of scaling, as I discussed earlier, this point as well. The need, whatever is the need, we need to use or take up the services accordingly. Suppose if I want to use 10 VMs, okay, so and but currently due to some situation I'm only able to use one, so I won't pay the attention to like take up the 10 priorly only and then use it. So if I'm taking up the one, I'll use it and I'll pay accordingly. So this is how you can upscale and downscale everything as per your need. Remote access and availability has been a really important part of cloud computing because here it has provided us location independency, which means if I want to collaborate with one of my colleague in sitting in America, I can ask him to if via internet to fetch up that product on which we are working. The real time accessing on that product allows us to be like more productive, discuss the issues because we are working on that product in the real time, which comes to the discussion of the next point as well, the collaboration and productivity. And the last, the most important point that I want to discuss is the disaster recovery. So, like the cloud native businesses have a really faster rate of disaster recovery in case your data is breached or some cyber threat has been applied to your data because your entire data is backed up in the cloud or multiple data centers as per your choice of making it when you were initializing the data into the backup mode. Because via this way, if one of the server fails, we can fetch up our data accordingly by other data centers or the other cloud. So every time if we have a backup, so this also puts up apart from the tension. So the Azure VMs. Before this, I would like to introduce the Azure portal. So can you switch me to the demo screen, Rashmita, please?
Yes, ma'am. So, Aadyaa, just before you go there, right? So I just wanted to ask everyone, like, what according to you is cloud computing is? People who have joined online, you can just type in your answers as well. But people who are here, can you let me know so that I can read out answers also? What is cloud computing?
We basically rent computers which companies provide. Instead of investing into buying the servers for our offering, we just buy a service so we can use someone else's computer.
Okay. So one of the person is talking about instead of investing or buying new computers, I'm going to use it online. That's one.
Reducing the computational facility for data-driven technologies like AI, machine learning, where we can use the cloud computing to run all our
Okay.
deploy production, whatever it might be the application, we can use cloud for trading.
For large data.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You
Big
mean to
data.
say big data.
Suppose budgets are fluctuating very massively, and
Then you want to scale.
or like
It's
sometimes
about scale. What else?
So using computer services over internet anytime.
Using computers over internet. What others have to say? Cloud is a back-end technology. Cloud computing is an on-demand availability of computer system resources. So all of these things are coming. So yeah, you have one more answer.
Managing data efficiently
Mhm.
secure.
In a secure manner. Managing data, anyways, you mentioned. So in a secure manner is what cloud computing is. So basically, a lot of everything is right. What I would suggest is think from a very different way, like three things: compute, network, and storage. These are the main things about you use in a machine, right? When you're planning to buy a laptop, you always think about what? Compute, storage, network, right? A network is basically to connect and other things. But if you're putting this into a network, you will obviously think about how securely it is available for you to access it and all those things. So think from that perspective, and when you put everything onto the internet and you're accessing all of these things through internet, that's where cloud computing comes into picture. And all the things which Aadyaa mentioned, there are a couple of things. There is security, there is scale, there is availability, the reliability and the performance and all those things which is mentioned by Aadyaa is um, what comprises of cloud computing. So I'm going to bring up your demo thing as well, right, Adya?
Yes, please.
Okay, you can continue.
Okay. Thank you so much. Like talking so much about the cloud computing and all, I would like to introduce you to Azure portal. Basically, Azure is via which Microsoft is providing us with the cloud computing services. So, starting with the introduction for the portal, I'll start with this. This is the profile tab. As you can see here, like I have been logged in with my MLSA ID, that is Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador ID. If you want to go through this ID and check out what it is, so you can have a first free dollars credit and explore. So you will have this free dollar ID or your profile here. Via this you can view your account. uh, so this is how you can view your account, your security info, the devices in which, like, this is the device on which it's logged in right now. Here you can see the device name, the type of device, and whether it's active or not. So the password organization, this is how the profile tab goes. But starting with the services, you can see here we have here creating resource option, the virtual machine, the resource group. Here, this is all resource by which you can fetch all your resources, the bot services, the storage account, the app services, and yes, the recents. So this UI helps you to access some really used services provided by Azure at your single tap. Now here you can see the resources. I have made few things because I have been using Azure portal a lot. So with different symbols, you can see this is some different projects are going on. Like the first one, this symbol is from VM. This is for resource group. Now, talking about the resource group, we would be using it in the further session. The resource group means it's basically a container where you are going to put in your resource to create anything. Okay. So it's basically a foundation for creating your further applications or further services. Like if I take example of demo VMs, I can use it to create my further demo of the VM which I would be showing you. I hope that this basic of Azure is clear to all you know. Now this is the CLI via which you can use the Azure. You can use in the command line to operate Azure portal. Here it's the directory plus subscription. You can check like what subscription is we are going on. Like you can see in here, my student ambassador subscription is going on. The settings here, and if you have any problem, you can ask for support. So this was the rough briefing or rough travel through the entire Azure portal. Uh, can I get back to my PPT, Ashmita? Okay, thank you. So now I showed you all like what are the services available on the Azure portal. I would like to focus on virtual machine, which is one of the most used service on the Azure portal. Now, talking about virtual machine, so not to complicate the stuff, it's basically internal computers that is operated virtually. So taking up a scenario, suppose like I am employing 10 to 15 people under my company, and I want them to use certain kind of machine. Suppose I want them to use the systems of 1 TB, but it isn't HD having 1 TB. So like it isn't possible for each and everyone to follow my same configuration, and as a company provider it would be really difficult for me to invest in that hardware for particular person, and maybe what if they leave the company and go, and my resource investment goes in vain. So that's where virtual machine comes into the picture. Why this people can configure their systems according to the need, and they just need to pay them via hour. Like if I'm using certain like I'm using standard SDD for deploying a website, so and it cost me around 8,000 9,000 an hour, so I just need to pay that only to my service provider, which in this case is Microsoft the Azure. So in that way I am already only paying for what I am using. My money is saved, my time is saved, and the quality, security, everything is on the company provider. So yes, so this is how the virtual machines work and how it's supposed. So virtual machine sometimes is abbreviated as just as VM. It is an actual computer, much like a laptop, smartphone, or a server. So it is equipped with the CPU requirements, RAM, disk, file storage, and a computer or software-defined system inside of a real server. Although the components that make up a computer it refers as hardware, but this entire thing for our virtual machine is hosted over the server. So I hope that is clear. Now, talking of this picture clearly shows us like the how the virtual machines work. Taking up if I have three virtual machines here. We are having app, OS virtualization server, physical server, 1, 2, and the shared storage. Here you can see like via one storage, I am able to operate three machines. That is just an instance, a case. But this can even multiply according to the requirements and the data center or the uh, base where we are gonna apply a virtual machine. So what is the operation of a virtual machine? Like I discussed earlier, it's just for the namesake virtual, but entire thing it is doing is as per our need, and everything done is on the remote server. So the files which are generally refers to as image, the user can complete the computer existence as it's typical on many works PCs. So like you can sit on your personal laptop and without having your company issue the hardware for your another working laptop, you can log into your VM, you can work. So that could be one use case of the VM. So I would like to use now discuss more usage of VMs. So building and deploying apps on the cloud. We are trying to make a new operating system including beta releases. So yes, these VMs are really useful for testing out new features, new cloud, because that won't hamper your physical system. So it's a really good development, the sandbox environment, which I would say. And we can be backing up our existing OS. We can access the virus infected data or running an old application by installing an older OS. So virtual machines allows you to select your OS, use your non-updated data on the previous, which supports on the previous OS, by in that sandbox area where your still physical system is still safe. So this is a really good use of virtual machine. This is also, as I discussed earlier, it has quite similar benefits as of cloud computing. Like it's cost saving. You pay for what you are using per agility and speed. So since everything is hosted over the internet, the company is taking care and investing on the speed and the flexibility. So you get a quite good speed, and when processing your data and accessing the entire environment, you feel the smoothness and silkiness of each and every accessing data. Now, lower downtime, VMs are so portable and easy to move from one hyper version to another on a different machine, which means they are the great solution for backup. And you can back up your data, your projects over it in really good manner. The scalability, VM allows us to be more easily scalable. Your scalable, it helps you to scale up, scale down, scale your apps, test them in the new environment, and security benefits. So VMs are quite secure because, as I discussed earlier, the company providers are investing a lot in security, and it is like we are a multiple operating system, we are using guest operating system, and VM allows us to run the apps with the questionable security. So since this environment is so secure, and we have like sandbox environment, suppose sandbox environment, it's good for testing, it's good for operating, like it's a really good option for developing and accessing, and also a great business solution. So can I get switched into the demo session? Okay, now I would like to share with you all like how we can make a virtual machine with the help of Azure portal. So for this, we can directly go from here, virtual machine. This is one that I have made earlier. I'll show. So here the subscription you need to choose. I have this subscription which comes under my MLSA ID. So I would be using this. Comes the resource book. As I discussed earlier, it's the foundation of where you would be settling up your VM. So I would be setting up your demo VMs. Now the demo virtual machine name, it's very important so that you can access. So here was some naming convention that I want to share with you. Azure resource name cannot contain these special characters, white spaces, or it can begin with underscore or this. You can use this space for spacing in between the name. So I would be naming it as demo VM2. The region I'm selecting is Asia Pacific East Asia, and leaving it all to the defaults right now for demo purpose. And I would be showing you the demo for the Windows server. And this is really important. Make sure when you are naming it, putting in the credentials for your username and password, keep it handy so that you will connect your VM here. Okay, so now putting it up, the username, the password, make sure this is kept handy with you because later it would be required by connecting our VM. So I would allow here RDP, which is remote desktop protocol, via which we would be able to connect our VM of Windows. Okay, so let's go to the disk. Here I don't require much because I'm doing it for demo purpose. So I can use standard STD, which is you can see best for web servers, likely used enterprise applications. So it is more than enough for showing up a demo. Now going next to networking settings. See, the virtual here the names are given by default. This is the public IP which you will be seeing. And we are allowed here the selected role, which is our right here. Next, the management we can already for. Next, monitoring. Next, here, the VM which I am making is a for the demo purpose and also having the time constraints, so I have took it on the basic. So whenever taking more upon the requirements and all, one should study the requirements and then VM accordingly. I will now create a create. Here you can see in the notification bar that our deployment has started. It's submitting a deployment. You can check upon your um, status of your deployment from here. By the meantime, it's deploying. If there are any question that we could answer for you.
Meanwhile, if you have any questions, just ask while we are waiting for it to get created. No questions? Everybody knows how to create VMs?
Okay, so deployment has been successful. Here, this is the UI that you can see after creating our virtual machine. Here are the entire details. Now let's see how we can connect to this. Since we have RDP, SSH, and Bastion options here to connect with our EVM. RDP stands for Remote Desktop Protocol. SSH is Secure Shell Programming, which is used for Linux, and Bastion is something new from Azure that I would be explaining later. So starting with RDP, I would click here. And to connect with RDP, I would download RDP file. So here you can see the file has been downloaded. And to connect on it, I'll start with connect. And under more choices, I'll use a different account. So taking up the username that we had created while making a VM and entering the same password to connect. Is my screen visible of new VM?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Like the new VM I created.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So I'm just asking the audience that if you have any questions, just ask now because we are waiting for it to create, no?
yeah, no, it has been created. I've logged into the VM. Isn't that visible?
Oh, you've already logged in. We can't see yours.
Yeah, just wait a second. Let me.
Oh, you have to share that screen where you
Um,
have logged in. Huh. So meanwhile, audience, you can ask questions.
Whenever we create a virtual machine, regarding the resource section, whether we need to check the availability in which zone there is availability, or whether it is an automation, it will check for us.
So whenever you're creating a VM,
VM,
huh?
we select the region.
Huh.
So
whether Azure has any automation that it will select automatic availability for our virtual machine, or we need to select.
It is your architecture. So the question is, if I'm creating a VM, availability zone is selected automatically or not, and what it is and stuff. So selecting an availability zone is basically your architecture. So availability zones are different zones, right? For you to manage the VMs in two different ways, right? You want to make sure it is always available and all those things. So you create a copy of that VM, right? So that is, the I mean, to use availability zones, so you have to select it. It's basically it's your call. We don't do that. It is not our call to select availability zones. It is your architecture.
Let's say I have selected in the UK. Whether how will I came to know that my virtual machine there is a resource or not? Whether there is a place or availability for my virtual machine.
Oh, then only we will be able to create.
Yeah.
So
Else,
while you're creating, while once you create, no, well, if it is getting created, it means that it is available in that
or else
UK.
I'm creating from India.
Hmm.
So whether any restrictions that I need to create only from India, or I can
No,
launch it
no, no,
globally.
no. There is no restriction, but you will obviously have to use your country rules. Say if you are in production, right? If you're working on production, and if you are some related to government, and you're working on with the government and other things, different government have different requirements. So you will have to create that virtual machines in India, and you will have to use the data has to be stored in India. So all of these things are there. There are, yeah, there are compliance, there are approvals, there are different certificates which is available. There are a bunch of things you need to take care before you play around with data. And that is also from different country has different rules. You have to follow those rules. Are they able to share?
Yeah, I just shared my other screen. Could you see it?
Yeah.
That's it. So this is the VM after opening the RDP file and putting in the credentials that we used for username and the password while creating the VM. So you can see here like this machine is just according to the configuration, the general configuration, and I can use it as per my name. But the thing is this, when using this VM, it's hard for me to navigate to and fro in between the my physical system and this VM. So coming in to rescue this, we have Azure Bastion service. So let me first show you what is Azure Bastion service, and then I'll show you how to use it. Minimizing this. Uh, is my screen visible of Azure portal? Is it visible? Let me see it. So we saw like how to connect with RDP. Now let's go with the Bastion. So Bastion is a new Azure service which allows us faster and more secure connection to VM with the VLAN. So while explain, I'll first use Bastion here. And here again, as I asked you, please keep your username and password handy because it would be required by you to connect even by RDP or a Bastion service. So putting in this credential, what Azure Bastion service does is it protects our, okay, So before proceeding further, as you can see, as I log in with the Bastion service, my another screen which I showed earlier has been disconnected because another connection was made to the remote computer. So before understanding this statement, I would like to explain like Bastion service is basically a cover for a VM which makes it more secure, and it basically covers a public available IP address, the RDP address, the port, so that it could be secure and we can move in towards the more security and avoid all the cyber threats. So when I logged in here, you can see another tab has been opened, and this VM has been started to operate. You can see I can use here the edge, and we can just operate it as per our needs. We can customize it. This now counting upon the benefits of using Bastion, you can see it's really easy for
So
me to switch.
Adya, we can't see that.
It's not just a
No, I think it's a different screen which you are using. So that's the reason.
Mm, is it visible now? Like I have been switching in between them.
Yeah.
Okay. So explaining again, this is the VM which has opened after login via Bastion. As you can see, this has been opened in my web browser itself, which means it's easy for me to switch in between my VM and my physical system that I am using, which makes it more handy. Apart from that, as I discussed earlier, it covers the port so that our VM is avoiding cyber threats and is a secure environment to work in. This can be further customized as per our needs. You can see here that like a normal computer, we can use all the systems here, but this could be upgraded to even more better VM because right now have you just use the basic ones for the demo purpose, but it can be even flourished more when we are using more advanced options and creating a more advanced VM. So now switching back to our Azure portal screen.
PPT.
We have created everything, we have understood VMs, but now let's see what to do when we are not using the VM. So going back here, you can see the delete option here. So I can use this and I can delete my deployment so I'm not charged when I'm not using and my work has been done. So this is how you can delete a VM, and you can check up the notification for the status of your deployment, and if you are doing multitasking, you can proceed with them. See, the deployment has been deleted and now I won't be charged. So this is the resource group, and whatsoever it would consist, the resource group would be having, you can see here by clicking in it.
So Adya, you got last 2 minutes, huh? Because we
Yeah,
need to
yes.
bring in the other speakers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so everything has been deleted. With this, I would like to wrap up my session. If there are any questions, I would love to answer them. And if not, you can ping me upon my social media handles, and I would love to chit chat that with you. Any questions that I can answer?
Any questions? Yeah.
Whenever I'm creating a VM, my data is persistent or after using and shutdowning, it has been lost.
Okay. Uh, People who are online, you can also ask questions. So keep pushing the questions, and Adya can answer the questions in the chat itself. But for this question, the question here is, will my data be persistent when we spin up a VM? And when we stop it, when we back it up and all those? Yes, it is.
The issue comes when we are creating an VM and connecting to an RDP, and after sometimes if we have switching it off, then what we are doing in our remote desktop, it will be lost.
No, no. You'll have to use block storage. There is a storage, file storage, which is there. If you're using that, it will be persistent.
We have to integrate with cloud.
Yeah, which is a file storage in Azure File Storage. If you integrate with that, it will be there. So even on the machine, the storage is there, but you want to make it more persistent, create a backup, you want to create a snapshot of that data and all those things, you can still go ahead and use file storage. Okay, thank you, Aadyaa. You can just take a look at the YouTube chat.
Okay.
If there are any questions coming in, you can answer those questions. We will also pick couple of questions if there are, but I don't think so there are any questions. So I'm going to bring in the other speakers. Thank you, Aadyaa, for
Thank
this
you so
session.
much.
Thank you very much for being here. I'm sorry for the delay.
It's all right. It's all right. Thank you so much.
So up next, I think we'll have Dristisha. Hello, Dristisha. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Vivek. How are you?
I'm good. We can hear you well.
Okay.
And let me bring up your screen.
Yeah, I'll just share it.
So Dristisha is going to talk about Azure Functions, how to get started with Azure Functions. So anyone here have worked on functions before? You have worked on functions? Okay, there is one or two people who are worked on functions. People who are online, have you done anything on functions? Let us know, so that Dristisha can tailor her discussion accordingly. So it looks like it's going to be fresh up, getting started with Azure Functions, getting started with functions, I'll call it, instead of Azure Functions. It's better, right? So yeah, so Dristi, it's all yours.
Okay. So hello everyone. I'll be presenting the introduction to Azure Functions today. I am a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and I have been an intern with Microsoft this summer. And okay, so I'll just proceed to the agenda now. So this is the agenda for the talk today. So we are going to understand the strengths of Azure Functions and how to best use the service. So then we are going to describe in more detail how Azure Functions actually runs in Azure. So if we look at this picture here, we have code, we have events and data, and then they combine them together, we get Azure Functions. So what does this mean? Azure Functions basically they embody the idea of KISS, which means keep it super simple. So it is a serverless solution that allows us to write less code uh, and maintain less infrastructure while simultaneously saving on the costs. So the cloud infrastructure provides all the up-to-date resources that are needed to keep the applications running. And hence we don't need to worry about anything like deploying or maintaining the servers. We only pay when the functions are running. For example, a code can run as a result of an event. Uh, Suppose we can say a new entry was created in a database, a function can be created for that event. Similarly, when a message arrives in a queue, a function can be created then. So basically, uh, we can define a scheduled interval, we can define a particular event. Any of these are possible to create a function. So what are the features of Azure Functions that makes it so good? So we can use our preferred language. We don't have to learn any new language to use these. We can write functions in C Sharp, Java, JavaScript, uh, PowerShell, Python, or we can use a custom handler to what because it's endless. Like since nobody is accustomed with all the languages, but they might have a language of preference, they can always go to the portal, check if the language is there, use that, as the stack for their function. The next thing is automated deployment. So from a tools based approach to using external pipelines, there's a variety of deployment options available. You can connect it to GitHub. If you want, you can upload code there, and based on that the deployment will be done. Then we can also troubleshoot a function using monitoring tools that are available in the Azure portal, and we can test strategies to gain insights into our apps. uh, Azure also provides with flexible pricing options. So for variety of users, depending on whether they're an individual or a small business or a large business, there there are different pricing plans. So there's the consumption plan where we only pay while the functions are running. Then there's also premium and app service plans that offer features for specialized needs. Now, there are two important things that we need to learn about that while using a function. So, first one is a trigger. So, we have created a function, but how do we say when this function will run? So, this function is going to run when there's a trigger. And this basically, Azure Functions let us define the triggers which start the execution of the code that we have written. So, the triggers can process inputs for passing data into our functions, and each function can have only one trigger. On my screen you can see some of the common trigger types, which are storage. So we can listen to events from databases and see if a new row is inserted, and then run a function. We can use events. So events grid and events hub produce events that can trigger a particular piece of code that we have defined. Next we have queues. So when messages enter queue, we can process that as well. Next we have timers. So we can schedule at this particular time of the day, trigger this function and send the message, and so on. So the next important thing is bindings. So bindings are used to connect data sources. While we can use client SDKs to connect to services from function code, the functions basically provide us bindings to simplify these connections. Bindings are connection code that we don't have to write. So we can integrate with many services on Azure and solve integration problems and automate business processes without writing much code at all. So bindings comes in two flavors. We have input and output binding. An output binding basically provides a way to write data to a data source. For example, we place a message on a queue or a new row in a database, um, and this is an output binding. Input bindings can be used to pass data to our function, uh, basically from the from one data source to another one, which actually triggered that function. So we have talked about triggers and bindings. Now I have a question for you. So what are triggers and binding in your opinion? We have three options here. Which one do you think is the correct answer? We'll take 5 seconds for your answer.
Which one? Option A.
Yeah, that's correct. So why is B incorrect? Because it's the opposite. Trigger is why code runs, and bindings are what connects the data source via configuration. C is incorrect because a trigger defines a condition when the code should run. A timeout is a kind of trigger, but there are many different types of triggers, like new message in message queues, database inserts, and so on. So bindings are configuration that helps our code to connect to a data source and make reading and writing to it possible by just a few lines of code. So so far we are on the right track. We were able to answer correctly. So we'll move on to the next part, which is like a use case scenario. So imagine you want to send a holiday greeting email to a bunch of your friends. So do you go and write each and everyone's email ID and then write a greeting and send an email? You can also, if you are good at building websites, you can build a website, deploy it, and use the feature to send an email to multiple people. But is it really necessary to just for one feature to create a whole website and host it? uh, no, we can use an Azure function for that. We can create a function where we add our email sign in details and then deploy it. And the function then connects to the data source, and it will get all the receiver's email IDs and send them an email on the scheduled date and time that you specify. So these are some of the more components. We have already seen triggers and bindings. We also have deployment slots. Uh, so basically, Azure Function deployment slots allow our function app to run different instances called slots. And what are these slots? They are different environments exposed by a publicly available endpoint. So slots provide us a way to test a new version of our function in Azure in a safe environment, and then seamlessly swap the new version into production. So this is another question. So which of the following do you think is not a good case for using Azure Functions? We have a new customer signed up, fetching product data from a database, and processing real-time messages.
Which one? Online audience. You started answering. A slightly difficult question, no? We lost her. She asked a good question and we lost her. She's coming back.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got disconnected there for a bit.
Can you share the
Yes.
screen?
Okay, I'll just share it. Okay, is it visible now?
Yeah. Which one?
Yeah, so I see a mixture of answers A and B. So the correct answer actually is B, because in A, so the flow happens because the flow that happens is seldom in A, and it has a clear reason why a code should run. So this is a great use case for Azure Functions, because we can create a trigger there. But fetching products from a database is something that is likely to happen a lot, for example in an e-commerce app. So we could implement an endpoint in function, but that would become very costly. So there are other options, other products available that can be used for uh, fetching product data from a database. And the third one is basically processing real-time messages. So this is also a great use case for using Azure Functions, as it has a clear reason for when code should run, since it can provide messages as they arrive. So the next one is features, and we have flexible hosting plans, dynamic scaling, and event based architecture. So flexible hosting plans, as I spoke earlier, there are different hosting plans to fit the needs of different people. Maybe an individual is using the product, maybe a small business is using it, maybe a large business is using it, and each of them have a different requirement. So we cannot give the same product to a large business as well as just an individual, because that would become very costly. So we have Azure Functions has flexible hosting plans there, and you can choose whichever you need there. And it is not like once you selected you have to stick to that plan. You can also change your plan as you go along if you feel the need to do so. Next, there's dynamic scaling, which means that in most plans, functions are dynamically scaled based on loads. So load meaning a lot of traffic might come in at a particular point in the day. The same amount of traffic won't be there during the middle of the night or so. So at that point, functions will check if it requires the number of resources that have been allotted to it, and it will increase the number of resources if the traffic is high, and similarly decrease the number of resources that it is using if the traffic goes down. Next, we have events based architecture, which means that functions are meant to be small and focused, and they process incoming data and be done or raise a new event in turn. So basically, event to event, we can process data, and one event can also trigger another event. And some common use areas of Azure Functions are sending emails, starting backup, order processing, task scheduling, such as database cleanup. For example, you have a database that has a lot of data that has been there for a long time but hasn't been used. So you can create a task for such an event, that if a data has been there for a particular amount of time, hasn't been used and is just occupying space, you can create a function to clean that data. Or we can send notifications, messages, and also IoT data processing. So next, we are looking at an Azure Functions in an hybrid environment. So this is basically a reference architecture that illustrates multiple local branches of an organization that is spread out geographically. And each of this location that we are seeing is using a Microsoft Function app, Azure Function app basically, and it is configured to a premium plan in a nearby cloud region. And the developers in this architecture are basically monitoring all the Azure Function apps by using Azure Monitor. So what is this Azure Monitor that developers can use? So basically, Azure Functions monitoring offers built-in integration that with Azure Application Insights, which is another product that is offered on Microsoft Azure, to see how your apps are performing, how many requests were created, if there was any error, and everything will be visible. And Insights instrumentation is built into Azure Functions. So with the application insights integration, telemetry data can be sent to the connected application instance, which we have on our particular subscription. So basically, application insights will collect all the log, the performance, the error data, if any, and later developers can view them and decide if there is a bug or error, why it is there, and how they can improve it. If it wasn't there, then we probably won't be able to understand why a trigger is not running. We have written the right code, but there's an error, but we won't be able to judge it if we didn't have monitoring system. So basically, it helps us detect performance anomalies, diagnose issues, and better understand how the functions are being used. And this data includes logs generated by the functions host, and traces written from our functions code, and performance data. So next, I'll show you a demo of how to basically create a very simple function on Azure. And I have made a video for that, since deployment takes around 15 minutes on my device. So I'll move on to the video there. Okay. And I'm starting from the Azure portal, which Aadyaa very beautifully explained in the previous talk. So we are well accustomed to the portal now. So this is the portal.azure.com, and I've logged into it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and create a resource. And what we have to search for is function app. So as we can see, I select the function app, and then I'll create it. So a new resource is being created, and my subscription is already there. So I'm going to create a new resource group for this particular function demo, and I said demo function there. And so we have to give a function name that has to be unique. So for now, I'm giving Dwitrisha demo, and I'm selecting .NET because the code I need has to be in C sharp. And region is basically where Azure will be hosting this particular code. So I am selecting South India. I am keeping the operating system as Windows and selecting the plan type as consumption. For now, you can go ahead and check what the different plans have to offer and select one that best suits your need. So basically, every function needs a storage account to basically store the states and everything, and whenever we use it, it will load from there. Next is networking, and network injection is not available in the consumption plan. So I'm going to go ahead to monitoring. So Monitoring basically is connecting to application insights. It is not available for the consumptions plan. So if you select a premium plan, you would be able to see how actually application insights are working. So I don't have that with my subscription. Hence, I have kept it as no. Next is deployment. So here I don't want to deploy it from GitHub. I don't want to continuously deploy it, so I've selected as no, and I'll move on to tags. And tags are what basically enables us to identify what the product is for. It can be anything. I'm putting demo and function, because that will help me identify what this app is about. And next, I'll just review and create. So here I'll have the summary of everything that I have selected. um, and next I'll just validate it. So as you can see in the right corner, initializing deployment has started, and this takes around 10 to 15 minutes. So I have skipped that part. Once it is initialized, it will get submitted. Then number of steps will be followed, and once all of them are satisfied, our app will be ready to function. So I'll just wait. Now we can see the deployment is complete. If we go to the deployment details, we will be able to see what all was checked, and the status for everything is set to okay. So we are good to go. The next step would be to create a function. And to do that, I'll just go to the resource. And as we can see, this was the name that I had selected, the Trisha demo. And on the left pane, we have everything related to this particular resource. And I'll just go and select functions. Now, since I haven't created one yet, there are no results, so I'll create a new one. And when I go to create a new function, basically there are different development environments available. We can deploy from VS Code or any other editor, but I'm going to select develop in Portal now. Then we'll see a bunch of template triggers that are already there, and you can see which one you need for your own app. Uh, but I am going to use HTTP trigger for now. You can also use timer trigger if you want to create a schedule. And after selecting the trigger, we just have to click on create. And as we can see, the function name is HTTP trigger 1. So it's currently creating it. And now within 2-3 minutes, a new trigger has been created. So I'll just click on that. Now on left pane, we have code plus test, integration, monitor, and function keys available for that particular function. So when I open the code, it will basically show me a default code that is already there, and it has like a function named run, and every thing that is within that function will basically be processed whenever the execution of this function takes place. So we have a response message here, which will check if name is empty or not, and if it is empty, it will ask us to add a name basically. So the run function has two parameters, an HTTP request and ilogger, which is basically an interface, and log.log information is basically going to log the information for us into application insights so that we can review later. And string name is basically storing the name variable that we sent in our HTTP request. And then we basically are deserializing that request body, and storing the and checking if the name exists or not. And string dot is null or empty is basically checking if the name variable is empty. So right now, if it's empty, it will show it executed successfully, but we need to pass a name in the query string. If it's already there, then it will show that it's executed successfully. So I'll just get the function URL to just run it on a different tab and show you. So right now, no variable name has been passed, hence it's showing pass a name in the query string. Now if I go to the request and pass a name argument, so I'll write and name equal to the Trisha. Basically, I'm sending the variable to this request, and now load it. It will show hello Trisha, this HTTP triggered function executed successfully. So basically, that is what this function is currently doing. That is there by default. We can put whatever code we want to run within this within the body of the run function, and based on our needs basically execute whatever commands we want. So if we go to integration, we will be able to see how basically it's functioning. So we have a trigger that is an HTTP request. We have a function named HTTP trigger 1, and it is giving an output. We don't have any input defined at the moment. If we go to monitor, we don't have application insights set up right now, but if you set it up in monitor, you will be able to see how the function performed after the request was received, and how it returned the value. And function keys basically enables us to use this function in our own apps. And it's a hidden value basically, because uh, you should be the only one to know it. So if I go to the overview of the resources, I can see the name, the application plan, the runtime version, and the URL. And that's pretty much it about this. So if we are not going to be using the function, we can go ahead and stop it, so that we don't have to pay when we are not using the function. So when we stop it, it will stop charging us, and we are basically only charged when the function is running. So I have stopped the execution of this particular app, and that is pretty much for the demo.
So any questions? People who are online, you can also ask questions in the chat. You understood what is Azure Functions? What is function? What is a function? Forget about Azure Functions. What is a function in this context? Anybody who is online? What is a function?
Function is a task. It performs some task.
Mm-hmm.
There's an instance that the code is triggered.
How many of you are using C++? Have done C++? Everybody has done, right? You've used C++, no? So there's functions, right? So what does the function do?
For every
Performs a task. And how does it perform a task? When you call it, right? So that is what functions is. So basically there is an event which happens, and for that event something has to be completed, some job has to be completed, some task has to be completed, so it is going to run that function. So that is what functions is all about. And how do we write it, how do we manage it in a better way, is what Azure Functions gives you, a programming model, right? It's basically a structure. And how to run this code, without, when we say serverless, it doesn't mean there is no server at the back end. There is a server. It's just that you don't have to be worried about performance, the availability, the security, all these things, right? You just have to focus on business logic, which is the code, and then you just deploy it, and then it gets executed, right? So that is what functions is, and that is what serverless is. And then Azure Functions gives you a model. So what is that model? So basically there are different ways, right? You go and say you're writing Python, the structure is different, right? You write txt, requirements.txt, and other things. And if you're using Node.js, there's package npm packages and package.json and all those things. And Java, the structure is different. So the coding structure is different. So when you go and use that structure, it will create a one structure for you, for a specific programming language. And there is a triggers. So there are a bunch of triggers, no, that can, a function has to be triggered. So how do you trigger? There is a HTTP trigger. There is bunch of triggers there, which is blob storage trigger. There is a storage, different storages triggers, which is Cosmos DB is a database kind of a thing. So all of these things are different triggers. So any changes happens, you can call a function. So it is just an API. It just does one task. So you're calling that task to do process some of the things. So that is what she was showing in her example, right? So there is one simple way she went ahead and created a .NET app, and in that .NET app you didn't change any code. It already had the format. So all you need to do is go and change some of the things and put your API there, and it runs, right? So that is what that is, right? So yeah, go ahead. You have a quiz. While we don't have
Yes.
anything for winners, so but still.
So this is our final question for this talk. So, uh, when should you use Azure Functions in your opinion? We have three options available. And do you host a web API? Do you run long, greater than 30 minutes batch jobs, or run code that needs to run for a reason? Basically, it runs based on a condition. So the third option is basically that. So what do you think the answer is?
So here everybody says C online, A, C, 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 B.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That majority is saying C means that everybody understood from the talk. So yeah, so basically C is the correct answer, because A is incorrect, because even though we could build a web API with Azure Functions and host it, we are more likely looking for something like app service for hosting, since functions is not the appropriate service to be using for hosting a web API. And it basically, Azure Functions makes use of event based triggered, and the code only runs when a condition is met, which won't be available here. B is incorrect, because Azure Function is meant to execute code for a shorter period of time. So just when a trigger happens, it executes, then stops and waits for the next trigger. So in theory, like, we can imagine Azure Function is basically, it will execute a code that for a time period of less than 10 minutes. And C is correct, because Azure Functions is an event based system, so the code runs for a reason. That means when a certain condition has been made, it will run then. Yeah, so that is it for the talk today, and thank you for joining. And is there any question that you would like to ask?
Any questions here? Any questions from online audience? Just post it in the chat. Yeah.
As my colleagues said, give demo about HTTP servers, and we can use it to call that has from HTTP servers that function can be called. So it can be used in TCP or UDP services.
Uh, um, okay, the question is whether we can use functions trigger in HTTP mode and UDP. It's not a UDP, it's basically a trigger, right? So UDP is completely different. So you will use UDP when you want data to be, you know, handed over to someone, and you're not really worried about um, the whether it reached that person or not, right? So that is when you use UDP. So there is no trigger for that.
We are waiting that we are using for half time. It is for testing. It is not going further. Just we are
I'll come to
using
you.
for testing.
So for that, you can use queues trigger. You're not really bothered, no? So you just post a message in the queue and leave it. It will take forward. Post a message in the queue. It's kind of UDP. So there is no need for you to wait for it to reply back to you. You can just post it and leave it. That way you can set it up also. Okay, thank you, Shisha, for joining in, and that was a wonderful demo, and thank you for sharing your insight.
Thank
So let me bring in two speakers for next talk. There is Rohit and Arpita. Arpita is not there. Okay,
Hi,
Rohit and Arpita,
Hi.
how are you?
great. How are you?
Good. Rohit, I can't hear you.
Hi. I hope I should be audible now.
Now it is good. Okay,
Awesome.
perfect. Perfect. Um, so Rohit and Arpita are going to talk about custom vision. So basically, this is completely different world, right? So they're going to go into the AI and basically computer vision, object identification, image identifications, and all those things. So the floor is yours, Rohit and Arpita. Please take this forward.
Uh, yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. We both are going to present on artificial intelligence and how to get started with custom vision, which is a really great service. So, Arpita, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Arpita. I'm in my final year of BTech Computer Science Engineering from BIT, and I'm really excited to actually share this with you all because I was pretty new to AI, and when I did this whole project on custom vision and I discovered I actually like it, and that is why we wanted to give a hands-on experience to everyone about this. Thank you.
Hi, so I am Rohit, and I'm also a Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. So I'm currently a final year PG student at SRM University. So yeah, I think we can get this forward. So take this side, Arpita.
Okay. So, what is artificial intelligence? Like when we think of it, we just think that the computers are doing what the intelligence in humans actually does. But it's not just that because humans do all sort of dumb things. There are animals who could do things as same as the humans. And AI is something greater than that. So, we are carving out the pieces of intelligence out there and reaching out to some greater product, like some greater intelligent behavior. That is the definition by which AI actually goes. Like it's not just कि, okay इंसान से हो रहा है हम भी करेंगे. It's not just like that. So I will actually move through some pictographic images to provide a better clarity. Next slide. Yeah. So like you see this image. Okay, it's a baby. So what, like not just baby, in humans what happens is we hear something, we smell something, and immediately it goes to our mind like, okay, what was it? Next one. So our brain is the model there which is processing everything. Like, okay, if you smelled this was maybe a fragrance of flower. If you ate this, you actually ate a chocolate. So the brain does the processing thing there. And then next slide. And then we reach the behavior part, like, yay, I ate a chocolate. That's how the basic thinking model works in humans. And it's pretty much same for the artificial intelligence also, which we will explain through our robots. Next slide. Yes. So, like all those American movie robots which come out to harm the human civilization, we have taken this face. So, what the robot does is it takes the data in. The data is some sort of input, and that input can be image, text, anything. It processes the data through a model. Now, that model is something which we build using AI, ML, and a lot of things which we will cover soon. And then the model will throw us some answers like, okay, this was your input. Like, let's say I say 2 plus 2, they give us 4, a basic calculator function. So that is how it works with the robots out there. Next slide. Yeah, Rohit, you can take these.
Yeah, sure. So Nets, as Arpita has explained, what is AI in a nutshell. There are different categories in which AI works. So there are different applications you can say that artificial intelligence serves. So some of them we have included in the slide. So there are multiple categories like in which AI functions. So there are different set of models that can be generated, and it gives predictions accordingly. So first category here is for classification, which basically differentiates our data into different categories. Like there can be a broad set of ranges, and our model classifies data into that. There can be regression. Regression is like totally linear prediction in which predicts like how many or quantitative data basically. Next up, we have anomaly detection. Anomaly detects if data is going out of the prescribed range limits. So this is used basically for like critical systems which need prediction on if a thing is going in the right direction or not. Next up, we have reinforcement learning. Reinforcement learning basically does predictions in what should be the next step. So this is a totally new step that our system is generating out there. Next up, we have data structuring. In data structuring, we have clustering systems and recommendation systems. So these do a lot of recommendations, and I think all of us have seen this happening in all the social media networks that we use today. So each time we have a new post suggested to us, it is done by clustering and recommendation algorithms. that recommend us a variety of content. So yeah. Next up, yep. So all of it is enabled by machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence over here. Um, yeah. So all of these fields are very interrelated to each other. So uh, a bit on to explain that over here. So artificial intelligence is the main field that we take into account, and when we talk about its subsets, we have different subsets which include machine learning is the main subset, and machine learning further includes neural networks. Neural networks further include deep learning, which are different categories, but sub part of each other, and all of them are taken into account when we speak about AI as a whole. And obviously, without statistics, artificial intelligence is incomplete, since we need to talk about those numbers and everything that helps us in generating our models. So it is an amalgamation of both computer science and mathematics here. So these are different techniques, you can say, that we use in this field. So, yep. Next up, we are speaking today about classification, and we are going to discuss about image classification. So we will classify images into different categories. And for that, we have Azure Custom Vision Service, about which we are going to speak today. So you want to take this right now, Arpita?
Yes. Okay. So we have a hands-on plan and we will drop the required links in the chat, and I would love it if you all follow it along with us, because that's how you will learn it better, and also because the deployment takes time, so it's good if it takes time for all of us. So moving ahead to the next slide. Yeah. Okay. So it's very easy to create a custom vision model. All we will do in short steps is we will upload and we will add some tags or labels to our image. Next. Yeah. Then we will train that model. Okay. This is where the brain part comes in for robots and human beings. And then we will evaluate the results. So this is basically the three-step process we saw directly in the beginning. So you take the input, you process it, you throw in the results. Okay. Next slide. There we go. So now we will create a custom vision model, and I will share my screen and create it. Just a minute. Okay. So my screen visible? Like, can someone give me a heads up? Is my screen properly visible? Can someone please give me a heads up?
Yeah, can we have Arpita's screen here in place of mine? Because she is going to give a demo for a while now.
Oh,
Yes, it is visible.
it is. Okay. So firstly, we navigate to this library. Rohit, could you drop the link in the chat, please?
Yes, I will.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a workshop library we have, and it contains a lot of data which we can use for a lot of workshops. And this is where we will start, and I will wait till he puts it in the chat so that you all can do it together with us. So what we will do is we will add some pictures, and we will add some pictures of dogs because, well, dogs are cute. And then we will train a model accordingly, and then we will test the model if it works properly with those dog images. Okay, so I'll start. We go to use this template first, and what we will do is we will create a new repository. Okay, because we will take this to our GitHub profiles now. So let me just name it Doggo. I'll keep it public and I'll create the repository. Okay. This will take a few seconds. We will wait for it to be created. Yeah, we have it. Now what we will do is we will get the things we actually want. So I will copy this HTTPS link from here, and I will just go to CMD because it's easier out there in CMD for me. If you have some other preferences, you can do that. Let me clone this. Now it will take some time to clone it. So we will have to wait for that time. So meanwhile, just if anyone has any problem in the hands-on, just let us know, because it would be really great if you could follow us here and do it along with us. Also, if someone has any questions, we can take those up too.
Arpita, can you just increase the size of the font?
This one? I mean, it's just cloning. It's nothing important here.
Okay. If you
Yeah.
are showing something on that, we can't see it properly.
Oh, okay. I will increase the
I
size
mean,
for the
if you are
cloud.
showing something there, we'll not. I increase the size of this font also.
Yeah, yeah, I have done that.
Even more. Even more.
Oh, okay.
हाँ ठीक है. I think
Okay.
this is good. हाँ.
Okay. If anyone has had any problems following up, let me know. You just go to code and you will copy the HTTPS link from here and put it in your CMD. So you go git clone and then you put that link there. And then you give it some time because it takes time to receive the objects. And please do it along with me. You will learn it in a much, much better way. Okay, we are pretty close. 89%. 90s. Okay. And we're almost done. Great. We're done. So I will just check if it's still there. Alright, it works. Something's wrong with the same day anyhow. Okay, so this was the first step where we revolved around configuration of data and everything. Now we have the second part, which is navigating to the training part. So what we will do is let's just open custom vision. Okay, we have it already. Great. So custom vision on Azure. This is the main thing we will be working around. And I'll give it some time to load. Yeah, I created one demo yesterday, just in case someone has problem following up. We'll just go with this. So let's create a new project here. Now, let me give this project a name. Let's name it Doggo Classification. Okay. And I will create a new resource here. Dogs. And from the student ambassadors ID, we get this Visual Studio Enterprise subscription. But in case you're not a student ambassador, you can claim 100 credits of Azure just by submitting your university card. So you can look it up on the internet. It's pretty easy like that. And I will create a new resource here. Name it dogs. And well, okay, I'll let it be South Central USA. And then we will give it a few seconds. Yeah, okay, here. Great. Then we will select it. It's here, dogs. And now we'll create this resource. Okay. So we will give it some time. Yeah, okay. Now we will create this project. Okay. Okay, so we have this project ready for us, and we have added our own set of resources also to this. Okay, now what happened was when we were here, when we were cloning this from GitHub, what we were doing is we were getting the images and all the data here. Okay, so now I will add those images to our project. So they were in Drive C for me. Oh my god. Okay, I guess I did something wrong while cloning it. Just can I just get a minute? I'll check the repository again.
So Arpita, you can basically use the one which you already created. It's okay if
Yeah.
you don't have this one.
Just a minute. Just a minute. I'll get that one.
Yeah, there is already a trained.
Yeah, that is a trained one. I was just
You have
hoping if
a
I could get.
project already. You have a project, no?
Yes,
So
I
you
do.
can
I
use
do.
that one. Ah,
Wait, I
Yeah,
found it.
otherwise you can run it on desktop if you have it.
Yeah, just a minute. Okay, the library is there. Great. I'll just share my screen again. I'm really sorry for this. Just a minute. Okay, great. So I have found it. And now we will add images from that workshop library folder. Yeah, so this was the folder. And there are a lot of images here.
It's the one name ML model custom vision.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. Yeah, it's here. Got it. Okay. So we have this folder called training images. Once you import it, you'll find this. Once you clone it, you'll find this. And there will be a lot of pictures of various dogs there, okay? So let's say I want to add all the Sharky images there. So I will just go like this. I'll enter them. And then let's give it a tag because unless you group these images, you won't be able to find them properly when you are testing your set. So after giving it a tag, we will upload it. And we've uploaded it. Now similarly, let's go again to add images. Now let's select some other breed. Okay, let's select Bugle because I like how it looks. So let's select all the images of Bugle. Let's give it a tag, Bugle, and then we will upload it. So this is what we will have to do for a few categories which we want here in our project, which we want to be evaluated. So I will just take one more category here so that it gives us some clear sights. Okay, so let's take Australian Shepherd and I will name it Australian Shepherd and I will upload it. So now as you can see, we have 3 breeds of dogs here. The tags are showing here, and if I just click on this cross, it will remove the Bugle thing. It's kind of like how you folks must be used with Amazon mostly. Okay, you check one filter, you check it out, the thing gets removed. Now this was the part about the training. Okay, this is a performance tab here. You can see your performance history from your training and prediction histories. Now once you go to prediction, from here you can train. From here you can train your project. So I've clicked on train. And this is where the whole training thing starts, where you start showing different projects to the model, and then the model is supposed to get a bit more decisive, which will help you in testing, which we will cover next. So let's just wait while this gets trained. Meanwhile, if someone has had any trouble following up, please let me know. Okay. Okay, let's just give it a few seconds more.
any questions while there we are waiting for training? But you can show the trained one. It's okay. You can switch to
Okay.
trained.
I mean, it will just take a few
It will take
seconds.
a lot of time. It will take at least 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to train,
No,
no?
it won't. We've added only 3 categories. If
Okay.
it does take one
If
more
you're
minute, I will switch to
if
that
you're
one.
confident, I don't have any problem.
Okay, we'll just give it 2 minutes more.
So any questions while we are waiting for it to get trained?
Like, as we're using pre-trained model, the model is ready. Just we need to go with our data and we have a prediction. Let's say a scenario where we have limited data sets. Whether the cognitive service is able to provide the data augmentation techniques on the page or whatever it may be.
There are three three different buckets of AI within Azure. So one is this cognitive services. So there are bunch of things in cognitive service, speech to text, text to speech, computer vision, custom vision, and all those things. So what is this is basically there is already pre-built models which are available at the backend. We are already training it. We have the data. We are training in different categories and all those things. So you can easily take that and apply it to your application. So that is one of the bucket, right? The second bucket is you build your own, which is Azure machine learning. The third bucket is the knowledge search, where you have bunch of different varieties of data, and you can extract data from that different varieties of data and then use it. So these are all three different buckets. So one of the bucket which we are discussing today is custom vision. So in custom vision, what what you have is limited data set. So that itself is a problem, because having limited data set itself is, you feel that it is a limited data set, no? So once you are training it, you'll get to know the prediction, accuracy of the prediction. Once you keep testing it, you will get the accuracy of the prediction. So that is why there is a prediction URL there. So once you get it trained, you can actually see, you can just upload a image of a dog in this case and see whether it predicts properly or not. So if it is predicting properly for a bunch of tests you have, then you have accuracy. You know, right? You can figure that out. So you can actually build a test data set. There's a data set for building the model, and test data set is applied on those model, and you can test actually whether it is a good for predictions or not. So that is how you can build accuracy. So if, I mean, the way to use, whether to use cognitive service or whether to build your own Azure machine learning is up to you. So after doing all these things, you feel if it is not good, then you can go back and build your own models. So that's already there. So both the options are available. So if you see here, there are some tests and other things. Iteration one, it does couple of things, right? Yeah, go ahead, Arpita.
Okay. So we completed the test, and okay, the time taken for the process is current actually based on the amount of pictures you upload. So since we did not have much, it did not take us much time, and it just showed us okay the precision recall and AP and the total image count. Like we had three breeds, and these were the image counts for it. So this was the primary step where we trained the model. Like okay, three breeds, 13 Shorkies, eight Buggles, eight Australian Shepherds. Now comes the testing part. Like, how do we actually test it? How do we put this trained data to use? And Rohit will cover that testing part.
Awesome. Thanks, Arpita. So,
Yep.
can you please switch to my screen over here? I have also shared mine. Yes, thanks a lot. So, I just have one slide to cover that relates to our model quality before we go ahead with the next part of the demo. So first of all models represent a closed universe. I think that is pretty evident by our model here. Uh, and the model, how accurately it can make predictions, it always depends on the data that we provide to it. So I think this was also covered in the question just now. Like the more the training data we have, the more accurately our model can identify. So for that, like this was already been discussed. If we go to cognitive services, for example, they train on a huge data set. If you don't have access to that much data set, you can sure go ahead with cognitive services. If you have your own set of data set, so you can make use of services like custom vision that we are covering today. And there is always some level of uncertainty that is 100% correct. Like no model can make a prediction with 100% of accuracy. So we have a threshold here that is normally 80%. So if a model makes prediction with 80% or more probability, it's generally considered as a good model. And to improve our accuracy, obviously we need to increase the number of images. We need to provide it with more and more testing data, and to include more diversity in here. So this includes like different angles, different lighting. If we are covering people, we can include people with different set of skin tones to make our model more diverse. So next part is to perform a prediction. So we are going to cover that in our demo now. So let me jump ahead to custom vision portal. Just give me a second. So yeah, this is the custom vision portal over here. And like Abhinav, I have also trained one model. So this is the project. So again, we have a set of images over here. And once we move on to the performance tab, we can see that this is the first iteration that I've trained it on. And it has a couple of species already in here. So the more number of images, it takes a bit of time. So both of us trained it in advance. Uh, so again, this is the some testing images that I have used to check the model. Let's so like Arpita has already tested it. If we check here, we can check the model accuracy here as well. So let me upload an image. Do-do. So let's take an image of, say, Shoke. So the image is uploaded, and as you can see, it makes the prediction in the form of different tags and the probability scores associated with it. So the model is like 99.6% sure that this is a Shoke in here. And followed by it, there are probability scores for different species. So it makes the comparison against an iteration. So this was the first iteration that we have trained before. To further cross check it, we can use another image. Let's go ahead with another species now. Let's take a beagle now. And yeah, again, it says with a 99.1% probability score that this is a beagle right here. So this was the way to test our image in the portal itself. We are testing our model in the portal itself. But what if I want to consume this in my code now? I want to test this in my code and I want to use this model in my code. Now the code can be in any language. So Custom Vision provides us with an SDK to use this in our code. So a couple of language that we can work in, like say Python, Java, example. Um, so to do that, we are required to publish our model. So I have already published the model here. So I'll not touch that part for now. But once we go ahead, we receive a couple of keys here, and these keys are used to authenticate with the service. So this is, we get an endpoint URL, and we get a prediction key, and we get a couple of information that we supply to our code here. So I have taken a note of these, and now I will jump forward to VS Code. So I'll zoom in a bit. I hope my code is visible properly.
Can you just zoom in
Yeah, sure, sure.
a
Yeah.
bit more?
So is it visible now properly?
Visible? Code is visible? Okay, visible. Here it is visible. Online, so it is good. Go
Awesome.
ahead.
Awesome. So to use, I am currently using a Python script over here. So to use this SDK in our Python code, we are importing a module. Uh, so Azure provides its own modules here that we can import in our Python code. So there are two modules that we use over here. One is to prepare like an environment. One is to prepare an environment variable. The second one is to use the uh, model that we will use. So there is a cognitive services module that we have already imported in our code. And from that, we are using the custom vision prediction client library. So we have imported that in our code. And next, we will save all the prediction values like our endpoint and the model key. We are loading it in a separate .env file. Let me show it over here. So this is the .env file, and it stores information like the endpoint URL, the key value that we had, and the project ID. And obviously, the when we publish our model, we give a name to it. So this is the name against which the prediction will be made. So jumping on to our code now. So in the next set of our code here, the script is retrieving all the values from our .env file, and next, now we are all good to go. So the script has authenticated with the service, and next up we are going to provide image for it to test. So right now you can see there is an open function in the script, and it uses an image of a bugle. So the image here is bugle10.jpg. We can use a different image just to check the model in the end. And next up, we are doing nothing. So the image is sent to the model as an HTTP request. And once we get those results, it is simply displayed back. So this statement here is performing the job of printing. So prediction tag name and prediction probability, both of them will be showed over here. So let's just run our script. So this is the image. Let me open the image as well. So yeah, we send this image, which is bugle10.jpg, and I guess our script has run over here. Uh, I, I'm going to run it once more. So yeah, it predict. I hope this space is visible, the terminal space. So it predicted with a 98.05% score that this image was of a bugle, and followed by it, it made predictions for the other species as well. We can change the image here just to provide it with another image. So uh, let's take a Shocky image again. I'm going to copy the image name, which is Shocky 15. Pasting that over here, saving the script, and let's run the script again. So yeah, now as you can see over here, the prediction was made with a 99.86% probability score that this is a Shocky right here. And followed by it, predictions were made for other species, but those are like very, very low, which is like 0.07%. So the model is very sure that this is a Shocky right here. So this is how easy it is to use the custom vision service. So we have covered like the service from its very first stage to the end stage. So again, we can improve the accuracy of a model by retraining it with more images. And this is how we go from like training the image on the web portal and then publishing the model and using it in our code. So accordingly, if, you can solve different problems with this service, and this is a very easy service to use because if you have worked with generation of AI models, you will realize like it is not easy to train a model, but with this service, it just abstracts all those information away from you. It is very easy to train one model right in seconds. So this is about this service, and yep, we have covered this part already. So I think that is all we had. You have any closing words here, Pita?
No, that's all. I hope you all enjoyed the hands-on, and if someone has any questions, we can take those up right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any
So
questions? Okay. So any questions from online audience, just post it in the chat, and Rohit and Arpita can answer those questions directly in the chat. And anyone here has, yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit more about the model? Like, is it a one-size-fits-all model? What kind of data was used to train the model? And I don't see scope for working around with the parameters if it is not working for my data. So,
So
is there scope of playing around with the model?
you mean to say what kind of data? Which what data?
Like,
They
it is a trained model, right?
no, they didn't it now.
No, they just input the data and they get the prediction.
No, they trained the complete images. They gave different images and different breeds of dog, and they trained the system to capture this data, and then they were able to get the prediction URL, and then publish this basically, and then get the prediction URL and consume that prediction URL because model was created by them. So basically, they did end to end of it. It's just that we provide you a platform to do it. There is a platform at the back end where you can upload images and it helps you to train it, right? So we have different different categories. There is a food industry category, there are different industry categories. When you're uploading data, there are different industries, so you can choose which industry, and then it will obviously you can check that out. So if you go here, she did show you the classification, and the classification type was single tagged per image, and she did choose the domains. Yeah, there were a lot of domains. So there is one of the domain was food, or one of the domains they used is the general domain, right? Or which domain did you use,
Yeah,
Arpita?
we use general domain.
Yeah, they use the general domain, but there are
Yeah.
specific domains where we have specific platform at the back end to help you train it. So we have our own algorithms which is there at the back end. So there is an algorithm in many machine learning. There's algorithm, there is models, and you build models using these algorithms. So they are choosing classification. So that's one of the things. So it's there. So they did that completely end to end actually in this demo. Okay, let's move on because we have one last speaker, and it is going to be interesting because um, let's bring Abhinav. Thank you, Rohit and Arpita, for this wonderful session.
Thank
Uh, let's bring in Abhinav. Hey, Abhinav.
Hey everyone. Hi, can you listen to me? Oh,
Yeah, we can hear you. How are you?
okay. Okay, I'm blessed with the knowledge provided by our amazing speakers. Of course, time just flies, and I nearly forgot that I am also a speaker lined up for my session. So, okay, awesome. Let me share
It's
my
a
screen with you.
it's a lot
Mhm.
of pressure. Being a last speaker, there is a pressure. Don't take that pressure. Your pressure is
No,
off.
no, actually, I enjoyed it, and I think that as a last speaker, you don't have to work on content much because speakers have given so much of content to the audience till now.
Perfect. So let's get started. So Abhinav is going to speak
Okay.
on the Azure DevOps. So it's an interesting one, right? I don't know how many of you know DevOps. How many of you know DevOps? What is DevOps? You don't want to answer, so you just say, "I want to know." I know DevOps. Is it cool? So I don't know, online audience. Let us know that if you know DevOps. Just share your thoughts on it. It's a very interesting one, and it's the most important thing when you're building an application, right? Building an application is one, but deploying it and managing it is a next level, right? So that's the thing. So Abhinav, floor is yours, so take it forward.
Okay. Thank you so much. So hello everyone. I am Abhinav Sharma. I am Azure certified DevOps expert. I'm also a solution architect expert with Azure and also have cleared 14 other global certifications with Microsoft Azure. I am a Microsoft certified trainer and a gold Microsoft Learn student ambassador. So our today's session is going to be on the Azure DevOps. So the agendas that we are going to cover is first we'll look into the challenges which have been the root foundation of DevOps, that why DevOps has arisen. Then we will look into what is DevOps, and then we will see Azure DevOps as a solution. And then finally, I will put some lights over the Azure DevOps portal, how it looks like, how things gonna bring up and work. I've named it as a 101 session because I feel that most of you might don't know about what is Azure DevOps. And many of you might aware about DevOps, but Azure DevOps is something providing the suite of applications that you can use while working with your code, with your projects, or under any organization or a software, right? So with that, let's jump into the problem, the challenge that makes DevOps rise so fast. So here, guys, you can see all of you might be aware about the Fortune 500 list, right? Fortune 500 list is a list in which all the esteemed companies have been listed based on their growth, their factors of reproduction, the factors of satisfying the customer needs, right? So these lists have been published from a very long time. But amazingly, you can see the fact that the list which were in the year 2000, the companies which were listed, now after 22 years, in 2022, you can see 50% of those Fortune 500 companies have been replaced by other companies. So what is the reason behind that? So the simple reason is that these companies have offered the faster, the better, and the cheaper solutions in compared to those older ones. And here comes the role of DevOps. How? We will look into it later. And let's take another example. We all know about the newspaper business in the older times. Now, Twitter has set as a social media trend and a newspaper for everyone. All of us use Twitter for generating the sharing of knowledge, sharing of different kinds of news with each other all over the globe. The taxi business of the New York has been completely replaced by the Lyft and Uber like companies. The Also the primitive comic books and Hollywood kinds of red carpets that you have heard of are now being replaced by the live streaming platforms like Netflix and Prime. And we all know the success of these platforms, these some platforms which I have listed. So these platforms have made their way to Fortune 500. Now, what made them successful? So two things needs to be reached to the customer very fast. The product's innovation, right? Your product and your innovations needs to reach the customer hand very quickly, and not only quickly, it should stay available, right? So when I talk about the software delivery, so whenever we deliver any product to the client's product to the end users, not clients, clients can be your company, other company which you are providing services or tools to. So these deliveries should be innovative, plus they should be reliable. Now, what I mean by that is innovation means which makes you out of the box, right? You can see alternatives of so many tools in the market of one of providing a single service. For example, if I talk about Git version control, we have GitHub, we have GitLab, we have Bitbuckets, right? Streaming platforms, we have Netflix, we have Prime, we have Hotstar, and these different platforms that we use on the daily basis. Now, what makes them different is their innovative way of presenting their ideas, presenting their content, right? Now, with that, reliability is also ensured, right? You have developed something very new, very unique, but what happens if that crashes when it reaches to the hand of the customers? Now, here comes the role of reliability, that there is a team or there is a dedicated system or a software sitting behind that software or a project, which ensures that your project or the tool or the product which you delivered is reliable, right? And then with this, it brings me the solution, which is called as DevOps, right? So DevOps is just not about tool. It is not just about the software. DevOps is a union of people, process, and product. All these three combinedly can be termed as a DevOps, right? Like you are in this session, you have seen different kinds of sessions so far, right? All of these sessions can be termed under the development part, right? They have developed Azure Functions. They have told you how to develop a machine learning applications, right? Now, these things can be termed under the development. But what happens if they are not delivered to the customer? If there is no continuous delivery patched to the customers, right? So here the DevOps comes in. The people with following some processes. If you have heard of the words like SDLC, software development life cycles. So the processes like those are followed by some set of peoples using some set of projects creates a DevOps culture, right? I myself is a DevOps engineer. I've worked as a DevOps consultant with various firms. So I know the impact of DevOps in an organization. It helps you to deliver your products at a very faster rates than the others. Plus, it helps you to build the better quality of the products, right? Now, with that, Azure DevOps as a solution, right? Azure, what is Azure DevOps and how Azure DevOps is being proven as a certified and a verified, you can say, a suite of applications for matching your DevOps needs, right? So with that, guys, Azure DevOps is basically, Azure is the only cloud in the market which provides the DevOps as a separate suite for you to develop and deliver your code, right? Microsoft Azure. Now, before going into the Azure DevOps, let me give you the three stages of development, three stages of DevOps cycle that we follow: the development, the delivery, and the operations. Right. So Microsoft Azure has been keenly looking towards developing those tools for the customers, for the users, either individual or the company, so that they can produce the better results, they can produce the better code or the better services for their clients. For the development part, we are all aware about GitHub and Visual Studio Code, right? Because GitHub and Visual Studio Codes have been set as a, I can say it is a standard, right? Many of the people, I can say almost every one of us is using these tools nowadays, right? And then if I talk about the operations, so as I told you, operations part is introduced to ensure the reliability of your product, right? Now, these operations are managed using Azure Monitor, Azure Policy, Azure Automation, and Azure Security Centers. Now, these are the services which you can see under the hood of Microsoft Azure. And with these tools, you can debug your code, you can analyze the reports, and you can also visualize these reports by integrating these tools, these monitoring tools with your Power BI platforms, if you have heard of that, and also with the other third-party tools like BigQuery, if you have heard of GCP as well. Now, today, the main part, the main focus or the limelight would be goes on the delivery part, right? What Azure offers for the delivery, right? Because delivery is the most important part when you are delivering any code to your customers, right? What happens if you have developed something, but you're not able to deliver it efficiently to your targets, right? Targets would be the stakeholders where your code going to be, right? Now, for that, Azure has created a set of applications which you can use and implement in your projects. So these tools are as follows: Azure Boards, Azure Repos, Azure Pipelines, Azure Artifacts, and Azure Test Plans. Right? Using these set of tools are combinedly known as Azure DevOps. And I said these words, these terms as Azure DevOps so many times, right? So here comes what is under this Azure DevOps, right? These tools, these services, these five services which you can see are combinedly known as Azure DevOps, and Azure has dedicated a separate portal, separate console to manage these services, right? We will look into these one by one. Not We are not going to go into, we are not going into deep of every each of one because there are five services to cover, but I will try my best to give you a overall glimpse and give you a complete overview of what these tools are and how you can use it into your projects currently. With that said, first is Azure Boards. So Azure Boards, it is, you can correlate it with the services if you have heard of Jira, if you have heard of Grafana, if you have heard of Kibana, right? These tools are, you can say, an synonymous to Azure Boards. The best part is you can build your ideas and connect it to the releases. Not only this, you can design the sprints. Sprints are the plays a very major part when you are going to deliver your services, deliver your products, and you need to distribute the task between your teams. So for that task, we use Azure Boards where team members can come up, pick up the task, complete that task, and put MR or PR and different things which we do in GitHub, right? So these things they can do up and they can be displayed on these Azure boards. Best part is these Azure boards can be managed using GitHub commits and the pull requests. Whenever you commit something, it says that, yeah, this issue comes up, this bug or this feature enhancement comes up. Now someone has to take it up. And if someone created the PR, it ensures that, yeah, pull request has been made and this task that it has come up has been completed, right? Not only this, it also offers the project status and the health of the project, By health, I mean the different bugs. Number of bugs means number of problems, and the product may be unhealthy, right? So that thing can also be triggered, that can also be monitored using Azure Bots. Then comes the Azure repos. So Azure repos is very much similar to GitHub, right? You can use it. You can use it as you use your GitHub accounts, right? But the best part is it offers TFVCs also. So TFVCs means Team Foundation Version Control. So we already have worked upon Git version controls. So TFVC is a centralized version controls that is an older technology, although, but still some companies follows the TFVC's practices into their organizations yet. Then, like the GitHub, you can review the pull requests as well. Whenever you make any pull request or your team member makes it, there's a separate dedicated column of pull request, as you can see from the image from the rightmost, right, where you can manage that thing as well. And the best part is you can migrate your repositories to and from GitHub, right? It is highly integrated with the GitHub like platforms. Then comes the Azure pipelines. So Azure pipelines is the heart of Azure DevOps, and I can say that this tool is one of the revolutionary tool according to my perspective. Why? Because it offers the cloud-hosted environments, cloud-hosted agents, not only for the Linux and Windows machines, but also offers it on the Mac OS. So I literally preferred this tool for building the Gradle or the Xcode kind of builds, which I need on my Mac system sometimes. So for that reasons, Azure Pipelines offers out of the box service, right? Apart from that, it supports every language, every platform, and every cloud, right? You can integrate and you can test the pipelines over various cloud platforms, not only Azure, although it is highly integrated with Azure, but you can do so with different cloud providers like AWS, GCP as well. Then there's a one most unique feature it offers, which is the containers and the Kubernetes. So the guys, if you have not heard about Kubernetes, so it's basically we use Kubernetes for creating the microservice kinds of applications, where these applications are divided into clusters. The clusters divided into node groups into nodes into different kinds of. This is the hierarchy kind of structure in the Kubernetes, right? So cluster management can also be done using Azure pipelines whenever you need to push or pull something from and to your Kubernetes clusters, right? So in Azure pipelines, here you can see in the image, it also offers the staging, right? In the companies when you work for, they have different kinds of stages. You cannot directly commit something to the production code, right? First, it needs to be development, then it needs to be tested by the QA team, quality assurance team, then it needs to move on production. So these things can be managed using the Azure pipelines. Plus, you can apply the pre-deployment and post-deployment approvals. So what I mean by this is, whenever you need to push your code from one environment to another environment, you can put the triggers, you can put the values, so that it will differ, right? Means at some particular trigger, it will go into quality assurance. At some particular trigger, it will go into the production. And if that trigger fails, it will roll back again to the development. So these triggers can be managed using Azure pipelines again, right? And it's synonymous. You can relate it with the Jenkins, GitHub Actions, or GitLab CI/CD tools if you have used them, right? And you can easily correlate that what services they offer and what it offers out of the box. Okay. Okay, then comes the Azure Artifacts. So Azure Artifacts is another yet great tool which are being missing with many of DevOps tools and services available in the market. So using this, you can download the Node packets or the Python packages, right? If you have all used Python, you have used pip. Pip is Python package manager, which is used to download and upload different kinds of scripts like NumPy, Pandas. These are packages, right? So sometimes company create their own packages to solve their purpose, specific purpose. So these packages needs to be shared with the other team members. Here comes the role of artifacts. You can create artifacts and you can share that artifact by connecting the feeds with the different programmers or the teams in your organization, right? Also, you can track the pipelines using the Azure artifacts. Then comes the Azure Test Plans. So it's a web-based testing tool which is offered by Azure DevOps. You can run so many tests as many tests as you want on this portal. It helps you to track the complete flow and the complete life cycle you have been followed in your application. Right? Some tests shown that it is as efficient as running 60,000 tests per minute on Azure. Right? You can just read the surveys written for the Azure DevOps, and it captures really rich data, and this data can be visualized in the forms of graphs and the bars, if you can see in the image in the rightmost corner, right? So this is the services offered by the Azure DevOps, and these are the tools and an overview of them. Now, let me give you a small demo of the portal. Like we are going to walk through on the portal. We are not going to do something which might affect the current workflow, current environments. But yeah, why I have recorded this demo, because yeah, five services to cover, right? And if we have five services, there might be some things which I missed on the live demo. That is the reason, like, I created the demo so that I can cover most of the stuff which are present on this portal. The URL for the Azure DevOps portal is dev.azure.com. You can remember it, right? Dev.azure.com. Just go there and sign up for the account. You will be landed on this kinds of portal which you can see here, right? Okay, so this is the portal which you can see here. And on this portal, here you guys can see a button called create project, right? So using the create project, you can create a new project. Currently it is listing, and just a
Abhinav,
second.
can you just
Yeah.
increase this? Can you zoom in for this one? Not the font, but zoom a little bit. Huh.
Okay. Okay, like, okay, all right. So guys, here you can see this, right? And this is the Azure DevOps portal. This is what it looks like, right? And here you can see the project. You can see different things here appear up. And whenever you log in, you can see this portal empty because none of the project. So we are going to look into this demo project. So this is the whenever you go on Microsoft Learn, you can see this demo project, the same project that we are going to look upon. Okay, and this is the same project I have cloned to show you what are all the facilities or the services which are offered by Azure DevOps. Okay, so let us start with that. Okay, give me a second. Okay, so here you can see. Um, okay. All right, so here you can see I have a tab called My Work Items. So in the My Work Items, you guys can see what all tasks you have to do and what all tasks need to be performed. Then PR are the pull requests that you guys need to perform. So now let us go into the project. So my project is a demo, right? So now I will be going into this demo project, and here you can see about the project. So about is really a very simple markdown empty format. Now when I go into the dashboards, these dashboards show all the functionalities related to this project. I can edit this and I can add more widgets. You guys sorry, widgets, right? You can add more widgets by going into the Visual Studio Marketplace. Right on this portal, you can see all the widgets which you can attach a description of your project, right? So here you can see all of the stuff, and there you can see a new work items tab. In the new work items, I can check for the bugs or the features or the different tasks which are related to this project. And then here you can see another direct link which takes us to the boards, right? Azure boards. So Azure boards, as I told you, is used for running the sprints and visualizing the different aspects of your project. So on the Azure boards, I can run the different test plans, right? These test plans can be managed by us only, and we decide whatever we want to test upon, whatever we want to work upon, right? So these are the different demos, and in the resolved section, you can see the tasks which have been taken by any developer and completed by them, right? So just a second. Yeah, then we can see a backlogs, right? Backlogs there is something which is not resolved yet. So that task goes into the backlog and that needs to be performed in the another iterations by another developer or by the same developers, right? Then you can see the sprint section. So in the sprint sections, which I have talked, whenever any new task comes up, we can just put it into the different sections. So active means that someone is taking up this task and working on this. So when I create a branch, the new branch is created with the listing that now I need to fix that bug, right? The bug which I need to work upon, right? So here, this is the GitHub repository. So inside this GitHub repository, I have a README file. So this is very simple that we can see. So it's a Azure repos. Here you can just
Abhinav, can you zoom?
yeah, okay, yeah, okay. I think actually, just give me a
We can't
second.
hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm saying that whenever I tries to zoom in, it's just stops because I said no, it's a recording. We just
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
yeah, okay, okay. Let us um, where are we? Um, we are at the bug fix. Okay, yeah. So here you can see on the I can just visualize the content over this web browser itself, just similar as the GitHub, right? And I can preview that as well, right? Then there's a section, then there's a button called commits. So in the commits, I can see so far whatever commits I have made so far. Then there's a push button, right? So the push shows the recent pushes that I have made into this project, and it is filtering out branch wise. Then there is branches. The branches section shows what all branches I do have within this project, right? And then comes the tags. So it is as similar as the branches. The tags ensures that all the releases that we have made for the projects so far. Then comes the pull requests. So pull requests are basically the requests that have been made to merge into this project by different developers so far. So whenever I click on one, you can just see what these pull requests are, what files they are resolving, right? So on the right corner, you can see it says build succeeded. What does that mean? So when I click on it, you can see it opens up another tab of Azure pipelines, and it says that the build logs for this build, you can see some tests have been performed on the back end, and it says that 3 tests have been passed. So whenever all the test cases are passed, it means my tests are performed perfectly and the build has been succeeded. So these builds can be managed by us in a various way. Either you can design your own build using the templates provided, or you can just design this on this UI itself, right? This Azure DevOps UI, right? We will look into how we can design our own builds. So when I click on edits here, okay, it's loading. Yeah, so when I click on edits, first I need to connect the source from where I need to pick up the code from, right? Now this source can be, you can see it can be from Bitbucket, external GitHub, or the Azure repos. So we are using Azure repos. Then the agent. So agent is the one which is performing, be hosted on the virtual machines, or you can bring your own hosted agents from the different cloud providers. Now on the add button, when I click, you can see the different tasks which these agents can perform on, right? Now these tasks are basically the things which this agent will do before giving that green tick, right? Means the build is succeeded. So you can just drag and drop for the task that you want this agent to perform for. And you can also go to the marketplace, right? In this marketplace, you can have the third party tools as well. If you want to integrate your project with some third party tools, you can just use these marketplace as well. You can see Google Play Store, Apple App Store is there, so you can do that. So then comes the releases. So we have talked about this already. The releases means development, QA, prod, different environments, different staging environments you want to state something, you can see here in the releases tab. So whenever I'm hovering over this QA, it says approve or reject. Means whenever so here you can see the artifact section as well. So whenever I need to add any artifact, right, within the build, I need to download something, I can do so, right? And these artifacts can be sourced from Jenkins, Azure Central Repositories, TFVCs, etc, right? So I'm not going to add any artifacts. Then you can see this build of quality assurance, right? So it says there is a pre-deployment and post-deployment checks. So I have defined some pre-deployments custom checks, which will ensure that why and on which conditions this check will be triggered. So here you can see whenever quality assurance occurs, two tasks are performed by the agents. First is the Azure deployment. Another one is the web test loading, right? Different tests organized, right? These tests can be performed on the various environments. They are the unit testing as well as integration testing as well. So then we have artifacts. So artifacts are basically the packages that we can download and can distribute with the projects. We can distribute it with the team within our organization. So this is a small demo. This is a overview that you guys can have over for this Azure DevOps, and that's all from my end, guys. Thank you so much. Now I'm open up for the questions if you guys have any.
So any questions? Understood DevOps? Sorry?
Azure DevOps is similar like GitHub. Most of the
There is a difference. There's an enterprise, there is startup, there is this is Azure DevOps is more of enterprise because you can see the pipeline, there is a control, there are environments, there is bunch of things. uh, you can put a control on who is actually going to approve this code. And if you see the pipelines, there is a code and there's a package into, you can install packages. It can be run through agents, right? There's a control over agents. You can install agents and you know which machines where you're building and deploying it. So all of these things are uh, done through Azure DevOps, but GitHub Action is, it's more of a pass, more of a, startup oriented, right? So I have a code, small code, and I want to run that. I want to deploy that code onto the API, onto the some
GitHub
PaaS
Actions is more
layers. So
CI/CD oriented.
that's where you are going to use GitHub Actions. So there is a difference. That's the usability of these two things, and that's how customers use it. So it's kind of a buffet, right? So whichever you want to have, you have, right? Yeah.
What's main difference between repos and artifacts where the utility is almost same?
No. Repos is basically it's where you're going to host the code, and artifacts is where you're going to host the packages. Say for example, you did a Java build, so you get a war file or a jar file. So that's where you're going to host these artifacts. These artifacts can be moved between different environments, right? For QA environment, I will not build again. For for developer, sorry, for the pre-production environment, I will not build the code again. It is built once, and this artifact is shared in a location, and this artifact has been consumed in different environments. Okay, so it's a artifacts manager. You need an artifact manager. If you go into the real world DevOps, there is, we used to manage more than 30 to 40 different machines, and 40 to machines had agents installed in it. All were reporting to a dashboard, and then we were building the software and publishing the software into artifacts, and using that artifacts we were putting it into these machines. So I don't want to rebuild and put artifacts, right? I have the artifact which is ready made. I'm going to use that in different things. So that's how we are going to use, right? So Okay, cool. Thanks. I know it's pretty late. We took over like 40 minutes over time actually. So I'm sorry. But yeah, thanks Abhinav for being here and sharing your insights, and thanks to all the speakers as well. Thanks people who have joined us online. Thank you for being here, sharing your insights and thoughts and questions and everything. So thank you all. You can stay. We can have discussion. We can meet, and you can talk to the Microsoft Learn student ambassador who is here, and we can obviously discuss a lot of other things. But for people who are online, we will take a leave. Thank you for being here.